AITA for keeping inheritance from birth mother instead of splitting with adoptive siblings. I had just come home from work one cloudy Tuesday afternoon when I saw a letter on the kitchen counter. It was sitting all alone, unopened, with my name, handwritten on the front in neat cursive. I did not recognize the writing, and there was no return address on the envelope. Curious, I set down my bag and opened it right away. Inside was a letter and a folded document. I pulled out the letter first. "Dear Emily," it began. My heart started to beat a little faster. I had never seen handwriting like this before. Soft and graceful, like something out of an old book. The letter continued. "I am your birth mother. I know this might be a surprise. I do not want to cause you any pain or confusion. I have thought about you every day since I gave birth to you. It was the hardest choice I ever made. But I made it hoping you would have a better life." My hands began to shake. I sat down slowly at the table, rereading the words again and again. My birth mother. I had never met her. I had never even tried to find her. I had always felt happy and safe with the family who adopted me. My parents were loving and kind, and I grew up in a home filled with laughter and support. The letter continued. "I never stopped loving you. I watched from a distance. Sometimes. I saw photos when I could. I am proud of the person you became. I want you to have my estate. I have saved over the years, and I want it to go to you. It is my way of giving you something from me. You do not have to reach out. Just know that I love you. Ruth, your birth mother." I sat there for a long time. My eyes were wet, but I was not sure if it was from sadness or something else. I looked at the folded document and opened it slowly. It was official. A will. Her name was Ruth, and it said she was leaving me everything she owned. A total of $180,000. I was stunned. I had never even thought about my birth family. Not really. I never knew anything about them, and I had not asked. My adoptive parents had always said they would support me if I ever wanted to learn more, but I never felt the need. I was happy with my life. I had a warm bed, school clothes, packed lunches, and birthday parties. I had 2 siblings, both adopted, like me. We shared toys, told secrets, and fought over the last slice of pizza. We were just a regular family. My parents, Karen and David, were always patient and kind. Karen loved to bake and read books in the backyard, and David loved fixing things around the house and telling jokes that were only sometimes funny. My siblings, Noah and Lily, were just a year apart from me. We were all adopted around the same age. We had always felt like a team, the 3 of us against the world. When I told my parents about the letter, they looked surprised but calm. My mom sat beside me and held my hand. "She must have really loved you," Karen said quietly. "That is a very generous gift." "I do not know what to do," I said. "I do not even know her." "You do not have to decide anything right away," my dad, David, added. "Just take your time. This is a lot to process." That night, I could not sleep. I stared at the ceiling for hours, wondering what kind of person Ruth was. What did she like? What made her laugh? Did I look like her? The next day, I told Noah and Lily. At first, they seemed interested. Noah asked, "Wait, so she left you her whole estate?" "Yes," I replied. "The lawyer said it is about $180,000. Lily blinked. Wow. For a moment, we just sat there in silence. Then she asked, "Are you going to share it?" I paused. I had not really thought about that yet. It was from my birth mother. I never even met her, but she wanted me to have it. Noah looked uncomfortable. "We are all adopted, though. That kind of feels unfair." "I know," I said quietly. "But this was personal. She found me. She made this choice." Things changed after that. At first, it was small. Noah stopped texting me funny videos like he used to. Lily no longer waited for me after work so we could walk home together. And at dinner, everything was quiet. Too quiet. I tried to talk to them. "Can we please just talk about this?" I asked one night. Lily shrugged. "What is there to say? You got the money. We got nothing." "That is not fair," I said. "You do not know how it feels. This was my birth mother. I never had any connection to her before. This is the first and only thing I have ever gotten from that side of my life. It means something to me. So do we." Noah muttered. Our parents stayed neutral, which made it worse. I knew they were trying not to take sides, but it just made everything feel more distant. I did not want the money to come between us. I would have given anything to go back to how things were before. But at the same time, I could not let go of what this meant to me. Ruth chose me. She did not have to. She had no reason to except love. That meant something. I went to bed that night feeling alone, even in a house full of people. The days that followed were harder than I expected. Every morning I hoped things would go back to normal with Noah and Lily, but they did not. We still sat at the same table. We still passed the cereal box and orange juice, but it was like something invisible had grown between us, something heavy and cold. Even the little things felt different. Before, we used to watch TV together in the living room, sometimes wrapped in one blanket, laughing at silly shows. Now, Lily stayed in her room most of the time, and Noah spent hours in the garage working on his bike. I felt like a stranger. In my own home, I talked to Mom and Dad again one night after dinner. I feel like they hate me, I said, sitting at the edge of their bed. My hands were twisted in my lap. I do not want to lose them. Karen looked up from the book she was reading. Her eyes were soft. They do not hate you, Emily. They are just feeling something they do not know how to explain yet. David nodded from the armchair in the corner. It is not really about the money, sweetheart. It is about what it represents. You were found. Chosen. They might feel left behind, but they were chosen by you, I said. By both of you. I know, Mom said gently. And we love all three of you the same. That has never changed. But feelings are complicated. Sometimes people feel hurt even when no one meant to hurt them. I nodded slowly, but it still did not feel fair. I did not ask Ruth to find me. I did not even know she was looking. This was not something I planned or expected. It just happened. I started writing about it in a journal. I wrote about how it felt to read Ruth's letter, how my fingers had trembled and my eyes had blurred. I wrote about wondering what her voice sounded like. I wrote about Noah and Lily and how much I missed the way things used to be. One night, I walked past Lily's room and heard her crying. I paused, then knocked softly. What? She asked, her voice thick. It is me, I said. Can I come in? She did not answer right away. Then I heard the bed creak and her feet shuffle across the floor. She opened the door slowly. Her face was red, her eyes puffy. What do you want? I just want to talk, I said. Please. She sighed and let me in. I sat on the edge of her bed. She sat beside me, not looking at me. I miss you, I said. I miss how we were before all of this. She wiped her nose. It is just... You got something that made you feel special. I do not have anything like that. I do not even know where I came from. I do not either, I said. Not really. Ruth's letter gave me more questions than answers. She looked at me. But you still got something. That money could help you go to college, buy a car, or do something big. And I just feel left behind. I nodded. I understand. I would probably feel the same way if it were you. She looked surprised. You would? Of course, I said. You are my sister. I love you. That has not changed. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time she leaned into me. I wrapped my arms around her, and we sat like that for a long time. Later that night, I left her room feeling a little lighter. There was still a distance between us, but maybe it was not as wide as before. The next day, I tried to talk to Noah. He was outside fixing the chain on his bike. I sat on the steps of the porch and waited for a break. Do you need a hand? I asked gently. He looked up, wiping grease on his jeans. I got it. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, I said. Not for what Ruth did, but for how it made you feel. He did not speak at first. He just kept working, his face tight. I am not trying to be selfish, I continued. I just feel like this is the only thing I have from my past. It is the first time I felt a piece of where I came from. I wish it did not hurt you. Noah finally stopped. He put down the tool in his hand and looked at me. You are lucky, you know, he said. Someone out there thought about you. cared enough to leave something behind. I do not even know if my birth parents are alive. My chest ached at his words. I did not ask for this. I did not expect it. But I do feel grateful. And I am still your sister. Nothing about that has changed. He sighed. I just need time, okay? I said softly. I get that. He gave me a small nod before going back to his bike. Later, at dinner, things were still quiet, but not as tense. Mom passed the mashed potatoes. Dad told one of his silly stories from work. Noah smirked. Lily giggled. For the first time in weeks, it felt almost normal. I still did not know what I was going to do with the inheritance, but I knew one thing for sure. Whatever I did, I would not let it break my family apart. A few weeks passed, and life slowly returned to something that felt close to normal. There were still quiet moments, but the anger in the house had softened. We all went back to our routines, school, work, chores. But something inside me had changed. I kept Ruth's letter in a wooden box under my bed. Every few days, I would take it out and read it again. Each time, her words felt heavier and more real. I want you to have my estate. My way of giving you something from me. What did that mean, really? It was not just money. It was a message, a memory, a final gift from someone who had loved me silently for years. A gift I had not even known I needed until I received it. But what was I supposed to do with it? I could put it in the bank and forget about it. Or I could spend it on something big, a car, a trip, college, all good things. But none of them felt right yet. One Saturday afternoon, I sat on the back porch with my mom, Karen. She was knitting a scarf for winter, her needles clicking softly as the wind blew through the trees. Mom, I asked, do you think Ruth was a good person? She paused for a moment before answering. I think she loved you very much. That takes strength. I nodded. I wish I had known her. I wish I could have heard her voice. You still can, in a way, Karen said. You have her letter, her words, her actions. Those are pieces of her. I looked out at the yard. The leaves were turning red and gold. Fall had arrived quietly. I have been thinking about what to do with the inheritance, I said. Karen smiled gently. It is yours. You do not need to rush. I know. But I want it to mean something, not just for me, but for everyone. A few days later, I had an idea. I spent the whole night sketching it out in a notebook. It was not a perfect plan, but it felt right. The next morning, I showed it to my parents. David leaned back in his chair, reading the notes. You want to start a scholarship? Yes, I said. For adopted kids, something small, maybe just 1 or 2 each year. Karen's eyes welled up. That is a beautiful idea, Emily. I want to call it the Ruth Grace Memorial Scholarship, I said. It will be a way to honor her and give other kids the chance to grow and dream, just like she hoped I would. My dad smiled proudly. You are turning something painful into something powerful. That is love. Later that day, I talked to Noah and Lily again. We sat on the front steps, the 3 of us lined up like we used to when we were younger. I want to tell you something, I said. About the money. Noah leaned forward. I am going to keep it, but not just for me. I want to use part of it to start a scholarship. For adopted kids, people like us. Lily's eyes widened. Really? Yes, I said. I want Ruth's gift to be something more than money. I want it to help other kids feel seen and supported. Maybe even find their own stories. Noah was quiet, then nodded. That actually sounds good. Lily smiled. Yeah, that is kind of amazing, Emily. I also want to save part of it for school, I added. But I want you both to know, this was never about keeping it all for myself. It was about what it meant to me. Noah bumped my shoulder gently. Thanks for telling us. That means a lot. That evening, we all helped clean the kitchen after dinner. It had been a long time since we had done that together. We laughed about old memories, like the time we tried to bake cookies and ended up with burnt blobs. Dad pretended to cry while washing dishes, and Mom rolled her eyes in mock frustration. For the first time in a long while, I felt peace. Not just on the outside, but deep in my heart. A week later, I went to meet with a local community foundation. They were kind and welcoming and offered to help me set up the scholarship. They said it might take some time, but it was very possible. When they asked why I wanted to do this, I told them the truth. Because I was adopted, I said. And because someone I never met gave me a gift that changed my life. I want to pass that forward. That night, I sat in my room and looked through the few things Ruth had left behind. Along with the letter and the money, there was a photo. It was small and faded. Ruth was standing in front of a bookstore, smiling at the camera. She had kind eyes and brown hair like mine. On the back of the photo was a note in the same handwriting. To my daughter. Be brave, be kind, and always know you are loved. I pressed the photo to my heart and whispered, thank you. Not just for the money, but for finding me, for loving me in silence, for giving me a story I could carry forward. And now, I had found a way to make it count. Spring came quietly that year. The snow melted little by little, and the trees started to stretch their branches again. Flowers peeked out from the garden Mom always planted each March, and sunlight filtered into the house in soft golden rays. Inside, something had changed, too. There was more laughter now, more conversations. Our family dinners no longer felt silent or stiff. Noah started sending me funny videos again, and Lily and I took long walks after school. We did not talk much about Ruth anymore, but the silence no longer felt heavy. It felt peaceful. One Sunday afternoon, I went for a walk by myself. There was a little park a few blocks away with a bench under a tall oak tree. That had always been my thinking spot. Whenever I had big questions or just needed to breathe, I sat down and pulled out the photo of Ruth from my coat pocket. I had started carrying it with me sometimes. It felt comforting, like she was still part of my life. Hi, Ruth, I whispered. I looked up at the sky. It was bright blue, with soft clouds drifting like feathers. I started the scholarship, I said quietly. They approved it. The first one will be given out this fall. I hope it helps someone who needs it. I smiled a little. I named it after you. The Ruth Grace Memorial Scholarship. You gave me something more than money. You gave me a story, a beginning, and I promise I will carry it with me, always. I stayed there a while, listening to the wind move through the leaves. When I stood up to leave, I felt lighter, as if I had left something behind, but in a good way. That night, I told my family about the official scholarship launch. They posted it on the foundation's website today, I said, showing my parents the page on my laptop. Applications open. Next month. Karen wiped a tear from her eye. Emily, this is beautiful. David smiled. Your heart is big. We are so proud of you. Noah leaned over to read the screen. Hey! That picture of you looks way better than the one on your school ID. We all laughed. Lily reached over and squeezed my hand. You are doing something important. I know Ruth would be proud. I nodded, my heart full. As the months passed, the scholarship drew attention. Local news ran a short story about it. A few people reached out to say they had also been adopted and how much they loved the idea. One woman wrote me a letter to say her daughter had applied, and that reading Ruth's story gave them both hope. The first scholarship recipient was a girl named Sophia. She was 17, loved to write stories, and had been adopted at age 4. When we met, she told me she wanted to be a teacher one day. You are helping me get there, she said, her eyes wide and excited. This means everything to me. I gave her a hug and said, someone I never met gave me something too. I am just passing it forward. Life moved on, but the feeling never left me. The sense that Ruth's love was still guiding me. At home, things kept getting better. One afternoon, I found an old photo album in the attic. It had pictures from when all 3 of us kids first came home. There was one of me as a baby in Karen's arms, another of Noah asleep in Dad's lap, and one where Lily had covered herself in flour while trying to help Mom bake cookies. We laughed, until we cried looking through those pictures. These are our roots, Karen said. Not where we were born, but where we grew. I looked at my siblings and felt the truth of her words. We had come from different places, but love had made us one. That summer, we took a short trip together, just the 5 of us. We visited a lake we used to go to as kids. We built a campfire, told stories under the stars, and roasted marshmallows until they were crispy and golden. One night, while the fire cracked and the crickets sang, Noah passed me a stick with a perfectly toasted marshmallow. You were right, he said. About what? I asked, smiling. About the money not being just money. It really did mean something. Lily nodded. It brought all of us closer. I think Ruth gave you a gift that helped all of us. I felt a lump rise in my throat. Thanks, guys, that means more than you know. No one spoke for a while. We just watched the flames flicker and rise. In that moment, I felt whole. Not because I had money, not because I had answers, but because I had love, past and present, woven all through my story. Sometimes life gives us things we do not expect. And sometimes those things become the very pieces that make us who we are. I will never forget Ruth. I will never forget the pain or the beauty of her letter. But I will also never forget what came after. Healing, connection, and the choice to turn a quiet gift into something lasting. Because that is what love does. It grows, and it gives, and it keeps us together. Even when we come from different beginnings.